Hello parents, as promised, here is the longer video to help with your struggling reader who is doing a lot of guessing. So here's the book that I've been using as an example. You can use any book that you are working on with your child. So this is More Spaghetti, I say. So if your child is doing a lot of guessing, I want you to cover up words. If it's very extreme, I cover up all the words, including the word they read. So if they start and read "oh," I'm going to slide this down and cover that, and they're going to read "no" next and see the period, and I might have them go back and say "oh no" all together, and there's no more words there, so I'm going to go like this and go like this. It's a little juggling, but some kids really need everything covered, so we might go like this, and of course we need another card. All right, I keep lots of cards, and you might read it like this. And you only need to do this as long as possible because you want them to eventually be able to read without that. You might need to do something like this to keep them from looking at the rest of the page. You can also cover up pictures. If your child is learning phonics, they shouldn't need the pictures to read the text, so you may want to cover them if you think they're guessing too much, and then when they're done reading the page, it's almost like a present at the end. There's the picture of what you just read. Now, even doing all that, they can still be doing a lot of guessing, because like I can't play, it's repeated. Oh and no always go together. So did they really read no, or do they know that oh no is the come after it? So I can't play with you. They might remember the name Freddie. They might not be sounding out a whole lot of things. So and struggling reader doesn't mean you're not smart. These kids are really smart and have come up with so many ways to read the book without reading the book, through extensive memorization of words and things like that. And those kids can be really hard to get them to learn phonics because they are so smart and they're learning all these other ways that they've taught themselves that they think are easier. So one of the things I like to do is writing. It's very difficult to be sneaky with the writing. You can memorize, but it is a little bit harder to memorize spelling and things like that. So what I would do is I would pick a sentence right from the page so that you can go back and read it when you're reading the book. So it would be some good practice. So if I'm looking at this page, what I'm looking at is, well, oh no, that's not enough going on there to spend some time on. Maybe I can't play, or I can't play with you. Pay attention though, does your child know contractions? Is that something they need to work on, or is that too difficult at this point to be spelling? So you may not want to do that sentence. You can always do I cannot play with you. You could always change it. You could always leave off Freddie and just say I cannot play with you. Probably don't want to do the sentence with spaghetti. There's a lot of foreign rules here that unless you're giving them the word spaghetti, which you can do if you're going to do I am eating, you can do that and just give them spaghetti, or just put the period I am eating, and that's it. But if you flip through, there are some nice sentences like now you can do it, now you can play. Those are some sentences that I probably would use. They're all words that you can either sound out or some sight words that should be practiced. All right. And we can jump on the bed. That's all words you can sound out for the rest of the day. And the whole sentence, that's a really good sentence. So let's use this sentence to practice how we would do it. So I would take the book away so that your child can't see it, and just have the sentence in your head. We can jump on the bed for the rest of the day, and say to your child, we're going to write this sentence, we can jump on the bed for the rest of the day, and ask them to tell you how many words are in the sentence. If they're really struggling, you may need to do something like clap it out. We can jump on the bed for, you get the idea, right? Or you can do this. I like to do this if they're really struggling, and if they're struggling with putting a sentence left to right, and some other things. They could sound out the words, but the sentences aren't looking that great. this is what I would do. We, and you could do this with a beginning reader who's not ready yet and just do lines. We can jump on the bed for the rest of the day, period. There's your sentence. You have one line for each one. If you have a very beginner writer, this is too long. You're probably looking for something maybe 3 words or 4 words long. If you have a very enthusiastic writer who's just struggling, you could just do we and the W. Make sure it's capital. We can jump on the, you might have to write that one out, the, because these are hearts, right? These are sounds maybe they haven't learned yet. The, for the rest of the day. Oh, do I have 1, 2 minutes? We can jump on the, oh, I forgot bed. Let me fix that. All right, I fixed it. This at the end for a beginning writer and an early reader, this would be excellent. Just getting the beginning sounds and maybe some of the sight words, you might have to tell them how to spell it the first time. And then when you get to this one, say, well, we just spelled it, remember? And they have them write it again. Of is a tricky word because those both don't make the sounds that you would normally hear them make. So this is pretty good for a beginning reader. But let's talk a little bit deeper. All right, so if your child is a little bit beyond that, end of kindergarten, middle end of kindergarten, beginning of first grade, or above that, or extremely enthusiastic about writing, you could do it a little bit more this way. So we start and you would say to them, we. The first word is we. Let's stretch it out. We. Let's break the sounds off. There's 2 sounds in that word. W, E. Those are the 2 sounds, and I like to put dots. All right, now we're going to spell the sounds. The first sound that we broke off was w, w. How do we spell w? All right, since it's the first letter of the first word, it's a capital. The next one is E. How do we spell E? That's a trick question, I always say. It's E. The next word is can. We're going to stretch it. Can. And we're going to break it. K, and. I hear at the end, and I hear a whiny sound before it. Let's hear them again. K, and A before an N or an M makes a whiny nasally sound. So we have K, and. How do we spell K, and? It's going to take them a little bit slower. I'm doing it fast so that you don't have to sit through all this spelling. And then you can make corrections. You can make corrections as you go. I try not to do too many corrections as I go. If every letter needs a correction, I try to only correct some of them because it becomes overwhelming. So some of them will be corrected when we get to the end, and some of them won't be. And my students learn to expect that we'll do some and I'll let them make mistakes on some, but everything will be corrected in the end. And that's mostly to not overwhelm. And so for here with can, I would say, oh, what's the other letter that makes the k sound? And they'll say C, hopefully. If not, I would provide that because they have to learn it. If they don't know it, they're never going to know it unless you tell them. So I give them an opportunity to tell me what it is. If they don't know it, I say k. And usually they'll say something like, that's so tricky. There's 2 letters that make the k sound. How do I know when to use them? And what I would say here is I would say, well, at the beginning, we try to use C as much as possible. Sometimes we have to use K. We have to use K if there's an I, an E, or a Y, because C with those makes a different sound. It sounds like S. So we try to use C whenever we can. We only use K at the beginning if we have to. Like, for example, kitten. See the I? If I used a C, It would be sitten. And I don't want a sitten. I would like a cute little kitten. All right, so I just tell them, but you don't have to, I always remind them too, you don't have to remember that, everything I said today. Just try to remember to use C whenever you can. All right, and then we keep going. I'm going to do one more with you. I have a nice long one here. The next one is jump. 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 Make sure your kid is stretching, not just you, because they need to hear the sounds and feel the way their tongue and their mouths are forming each of the letters. For example, M and N sound very similar, right? If I said N and it's very similar. Which one did I say, right? But if you're feeling your mouth, M, the sound for M, my lips are together. For N, they're not, and my tongue is behind my top teeth. They're both nasally, so that's not really a clue for these, but I'm changing my mouth shape. So you want your child to be able to feel the different sounds that they're making. So make sure they're stretching it and have them break it too. So we're breaking jump now. Jump. We're going to break j. Make sure they're not saying ja. Say, oh, you gave me two sounds. Can you break it down further? Ja is two sounds. J, and they might say right? And then you can say again, that's two sounds. You need to break it down to all the individual sounds. So can you break into two? P. So jump should sound like this when it's broken. J, p. And make sure it's not pa, it's just p. All right, because pa is two sounds and the extra sound is not in the word. And again, if your child can't stretch and break those sounds, you have to model it. That's called an I do, we do, you do model. So first you do it. You're the I do it. I'm the teacher. I do it. If you're doing it with your kid, you're the teacher. You're doing it, right? I do it. First you do it. Show them how, because they're not going to magically know how to do it. I think a lot of adults and parents and teachers and a lot of people just think, well, they don't know how to do it. They're never going to know. No, you have to show them. All right. We forget that, I think, sometimes, because some things are so easy for us that we forget that it's not easy for them. So make sure you show them. You do it. That's the I do. And then the we do. Have them do it with you. We do it. So I would stretch, jump. Let's go back to jump. Jump. Do it with me. Jump. And then you do it. I would say, you do it. You stretch, jump. And hopefully they would say jump. But sometimes they say jump, jump, jump. And so that I go back to the I do again. When they make that mistake, I say, oh no, listen to me. You're not stretched it. Stretch it like cheese on pizza. Jump. And then we do it together. Let's do it together. Jump. You try it. You do it. And hopefully at that point they say jump. And then if they go jump, jump, jump afterwards, that's okay. They're just having fun. But as long as they can do the actual stretch. All right. And then I would say, let's break it. If they're having trouble breaking it, I'm going to start with the I do. Watch how I break it. J, p. Let's do it together. J, p. You try it. You break jump all by yourself, and hopefully they would say j, p. But if they're struggling, they might say ja, p. Right? And say, okay, you broke it into 3, but it should have 4. Let's try it again. And probably I might do the we do at this point. Let's do it together. J. Let me hear you. J, p. You do it. Now, I wouldn't stay on jump until mastery. If they're really struggling and we've gone through it 2 or 3 times, I would just stop with the I do and the we do and move on to the next word and start again, because it takes practice. If you wait, especially struggling reader, if you wait until they master stretching and breaking one word and they're struggling with it, you're never going to progress. All right, don't get stuck on one. If you have to, skip the you do and go and do the I and the we on a new word. And hopefully they'll get the you on that one. And maybe this word here just threw them for a loop and they just need more practice with other words, and eventually they'll write a sentence with jump in it just fine. All right, so make sure you're doing the I do, we do, you do. And don't stress about the you do until they're ready. Keep doing I and we, try the you, go back. All right. Don't stress about any of this. They're not going to write this sentence perfectly the first time or the second time or the third time. It might be a year from now that they can write a sentence of this complexity by themselves and have it be perfect. And that's okay. It's not going to happen overnight. Maybe doing the first time that you write a sentence with them, maybe they're just figuring out how to separate words, that we and can are two separate words, and that there are 11 words in this sentence. The next time you write a sentence with them, they're listening for beginning sounds, and they're only getting the beginning sounds. The rest of the word, they need you to help them get the rest of the word. But they're doing the beginning sounds like spot on. That's great. Maybe, a couple weeks after that, they're like, we can. And before you even know it, they have we and can written down. But then they get to jump and they say, I don't know how to spell jump. You say, okay, let's stretch it. Can you stretch jump? You can jump right into the we at that point. And then when they get stronger, you only need to do the I do as a refresher as needed. And maybe jump say, well, I know you can spell jump. How about you stretch it out? Go ahead, try stretching it. Jump. That sounds great. Can you break it? Right? So you can jump right into you do as they progress. And that takes weeks. I have classes where I do this. It's my Writing Now classes on Outschool. This is how I do it. I have the students pick their own sentences though, and I help them with it. And it takes about 3 classes before they adjust to this style. And then every kid is different. It takes a couple months. It could take, let's see, I'm trying to think now. If it's a very beginning, across the board, all the beginning, very beginning, it'll take a few weeks before I can leave them with a word and say, all right, you try we by yourself. That takes a few months, a few weeks to like a month or two. And then at some point, they're doing every other word themselves. So I'll say, okay, you do we, and then let's do can together. Why don't you try jump? Or I probably do jump together. And then I'll say, how about you do on and the? And maybe we do bed together. Or maybe I have them do bed on their own. Sound it out, stretch it, and I'll tell them, see how many letters you can get. And then maybe we do for together and the on their own and rest together. And after a full year, I would expect them to be able to handle most of the words, missing a few letters here and there, but getting a complete sentence with just a few letters missing, or the wrong letter instead. And I have a few kids that have been with me for 2 years, and they don't need any help at all. And most of the time when I check their spelling, it's correct. So that's like a 2-year mark with something like that. All right. I feel like I got off track, but hopefully that information was helpful for you, because I do see that a lot with parents. And I know that's true. If I was teaching something that was new for me, I would say, well, I wonder what my expectations are. What should I expect them to be able to do? What should be too hard for them? What should be too easy? Where should they be, what should I be expecting? So as a parent, your child, if your child's 5, and this is your first child, or even your second child, like how much experience have you had with a 5-year-old teaching them writing? It's new for you. You don't know what to expect. My daughter is older. She's a teenager now, and I don't teach teenagers at the moment. I don't know what to expect with her, and I don't know what to expect her with math, because those are not things that I deal with. So, but these are things I deal with. So hopefully my tips for you, my experience, my knowledge of working with lots of kids, I want to pass those tips on to you, because if you're just, you're just mom or dad, working with just your children, you're not going to have the numbers of kids that I've worked with. So, because that's not, you're doing something else. You're not a teacher. You have a different job to do. So you don't need to have that. I can give you all that information that I have. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions. And I've definitely gotten off track. But there's so many things. I love teaching reading and I just want to share everything and help out wherever I can. So please let me know if you have any questions about this or anything else with your reader, something you've seen you don't know what to do. Let me know and I can do a video to address that, or I can just answer your comment if it's something simple. And that's not an imposition on me at all. I would love to hear any comments you have. But be sure to subscribe and like. I have short videos, I have long videos, I have videos that your child can watch and work through. And I'm going to have more of them as I go. And so be sure to subscribe, like, and comment to let me know if you have any questions. And I will see you soon. Bye.